Hi, hello, welcome to my couch. I'm Julian Greystoke. Today I am multitasking. It's a Saturday. I'm trying to get a bunch of stuff done. I'm making cookies, so there's gonna be fresh cookies later. Just took a shower, so I'm not gonna put makeup on. We're just doing things today, and today I'm going to be reviewing a book that I recently read. It is called Raybearer, and you've probably heard of it because it is getting so much praise. And I was incredibly hyped to read this book, so did I like it? You see, I ran into that problem that I get with very hyped books. I think it's a problem with me. Once I finally get to reading a very, very hyped book, it ends up letting me down. Don't get me wrong, I certainly didn't give this book 1 star or anything like that, but it wasn't the 5-star read I was really hoping it was going to be, and even thought it was going to be at the beginning of the book. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's read the synopsis here on Goodreads. My laptop is right here. I'm gonna go check on my cookies really fast, and then continue this. Okay, the cookies are out and they are cooling. Let's read the synopsis. Tari Sai has always longed for the warmth of the family. She was raised in isolation by the mysterious, often absent mother known only as the Lady. The Lady sends her to the capital of the global empire of Aretsar to compete with other children to be chosen as one of the Crown Prince's Council of 11. If she is picked, she'll join with the other council members through the Ray, a bond deeper than blood. That closeness is irresistible to Tari Sai, who has always wanted to belong to someone. But the Lady has other ideas, including a magical wish that Tari Sai is compelled to obey. Kill the Crown Prince once she gains his trust. Tari Sai won't stand by and become someone's pawn, but is she strong enough to choose a different path for herself? So that sounds pretty cool, right? There's like some elements of Ella Enchanted in there, and you guys probably know, but just in case you don't, this is sort of a West African-based fantasy story. So there are a lot of elements based on the history and mythology of those places, at least as much as the author could find, because, you know, colonization kind of destroyed a lot of their culture. Yay! But that just kind of leans into one of this book's strongest points, and that is the magic and the world building, because holy cow, I love some of the magic in this. I did also want to mention that there is a lot going on in this book with Black culture and being a Black woman and the Black experience, some of which I did notice, a lot of which probably went right over my head, but I don't speak to that very much in this video because I don't know if you've noticed this, but I am incredibly white. I may be translucent, so you're gonna have to read for yourself to get more of like an idea of the culture of Blackness that is also throughout this book. I thought very beautifully so, but I just can't speak to it myself. We'll just get right down to the things that I love. The whole thing with the prince and the Ray and all of it, like, it doesn't go very deep here in the synopsis, but he becomes immune to all forms of death because, like, in their world there are 12 forms of death. And once all of his, like, council bond to him through the Ray, he becomes immune to all but the 12th form of death, which is old age. So nobody can kill him except for his council, but they all love him. I really feel like this is what Layla from The Savior's Sister should have been doing, is trying to get people to love her instead of fear her, because this prince has the right idea, and the character of the prince, he is just a sweetheart, so you totally understand how these people would, like, come to love him. There's all kinds of really interesting magic and mythology happening in this book, and that is one of this book's strongest points. It is so nice to see, like, magic and mythology that's not just the same old over again. It's not just, oh, they have elemental powers or some shit. There's all kinds of stuff going on with spirits of the land, and, like, these little fairy creatures, and, like, there's just so much. And the underworld is a big theme that's going to be even more of a theme in the next book. If you are really into world building and magic, and you want to see something that's really different from all of the other fantasy you've probably been reading, this is the book for you. I also love the villain in this book. She might have been my favorite character. She is kind of just like one of my favorite archetypes of villain, where she is a bad person, but you understand her choices. You understand where she's coming from, you understand what got her there. Actually, one of the things that I should talk about is all of the characters have a special power that is also their own. I forget what it's called. But everybody has their own like magical power as well, and Tari's size is that she can read people's memories when she touches them. Actually, she can read the memories of anything she touches. So if she touches it with her bare skin, she can get memories of what it's gone through, whether it's a human being or a clay pot. She can get a little bit of its history. And so that is used as a way to give us exposition in a more dynamic way. I did see through it. I was like, I see what you're doing. You're giving me an info dump, but in a way that's a little bit more engaging. So I got a little bit bored with it towards the end, where I was like, okay, I wish there was like another way that we could get some of this information instead of her just like, oh, let me conveniently touch you and I will get finally the answers that I need. But it was a way that the author used to avoid just having like some character be like, here, allow me to info dump on you. We could actually watch a scene play out in her mind. But yes, back to the villain. I loved her. I just have a thing for like bad parents as villains and how they fuck up their kids. It's just like, I don't know why, but that's like one of my favorite types of villains, is like, how did this parent fuck up so badly while thinking that they were being a good parent? There was ace rep in this book. I'm always here for ace rep, you know that. I heard that there was going to be, but I didn't know which character. Unfortunately, it's not the main character. I was really hoping it was going to be her. I really am desperately hungry for a fantasy book where the main character is ace, like on the page. Although technically, the Tamara Pierce series, The Protector of the Small, the main character is asexual, but it's not like confirmed in the book. It was confirmed much later on by the author. That's neither here nor there. Except to say that if you like Tamara Pierce, you will probably like this. They have a fairly similar style, and as I was listening, because you know I had to have the audiobook, I was definitely getting Piercey vibes, and for me that is definitely a plus. Pierce with a lot more world building, we'll say. But yes, I am still on a never-ending quest, probably, for asexual representation as the main character in something besides just like a contemporary story that's about being queer. I have cookies and milk now, so that's great. I did like the ace rep, the character who is asexual. I'm just going to spoil it because that's not like a big spoiler to me, is the prince. And I liked that there's a moment where she is like trying to convince him for reasons to go like have sexy times with her. And he's like, I've never really considered it. I've never really been interested in it. But you know what? If it's important to you, I'll give it a try. And I'm like, that's so fucking wholesome. And also, a lot of asexuals don't mind participating in sex. Some of them are sex repulsed, and you shouldn't try to force anyone to do anything. But some aces are just like, okay, if you want to, I'll give it a shot. It was like cute to see that. And I do think a lot of authors are trying to avoid with their ace characters the stereotype of asexuals being frigid or sex repulsed, but I do think we need to keep in mind that some asexuals are sex repulsed, and we shouldn't dismiss them just because that's like the stereotype. Oh my goodness, it's all melty. I can't cook, I can't bake, except cookies. Chocolate chip cookies. You're probably thinking, Jillian, you clearly loved it. What didn't you like? Like, you didn't give it 5 stars, what's wrong? And it took me a long time to put my finger on it. This book actually took me a while to finish. I was struggling to be enthusiastic about reading it, and I was like, why? And I realized slowly that it's the characters. The author just never quite got there with any of the characters. And you guys know that characters are the most important thing in a book for me. And this book lends itself so well to having a character focus, because a major part of this book is a magic that involves people loving each other, which is like such a great thing to work with. And in the beginning it did a pretty good job of being character focused, but it slowly started to lean away. And that really bothered me. This book was hyped to me as a found family book. And there is found family in it. But honestly, the main character spends so much time away from the majority of that family for various plot reasons. And also, we only really get to know about 3 members of it, even though there are 12 people in this family. We're basically just told by the author that yes, trust us, she's close with all of them, but we only get to know a very, very few of them. The ones we do get to know are just this far from truly having depth. It's like every time that the author is about to really go in and dig in with these characters, she backs off of it because we have to keep going with the plot. What plot there is, we'll talk about that in a minute as well. Like, if I love a book, I will be thinking to myself, I will die for this character. And there was no one like that for me in this book. Now, maybe other people have had a different experience, but I really think that's where this book is super lacking. Let's talk about the plot, or what there was. There was a lot going on in this book, especially a lot of political stuff with all of these, and cultural stuff with all of these different cultures. It was definitely cool to see. Honestly, I think the cultures were better developed than the characters. But because of that, plot was not strong, and sometimes I'd be listening and I'd be like, okay, just pause for a sec. What's the goal here? What's the next step? What are we trying to achieve? And I wouldn't really be able to easily find it, or when I found something, it felt so far away and unachievable and ethereal that there was no obvious next step. That was also a problem for me because I mentioned in my Monstrous Regiment review that the characters keep me in a book when I'm enjoying it, but the plot is what keeps me coming back to the book. So if I set the book down, like I finish my work day and I haven't finished the book, the plot is the thing. What's going on right now is the thing that gets me to pick the book back up again. And this book's plot just kind of meandered. Maybe it was trying to cover too much time, too big of a span of time, but it just never felt like there was like, yes, we need, this is the ultimate, this is the end goal, and these are some things that we can maybe do to get there. It was just kind of going, like flowing, like a river with a lot of like really lazy bends in it, and we'll maybe get there eventually. I enjoyed the magic in this book a lot. There were a lot of things to recommend the magic, but also at the same time, it didn't quite have enough rules for me. Like, sometimes I would be like, well, wait, I thought it couldn't do that, or it could do that, but now it's not. One thing that really bothered me is I was paying attention. I was paying close attention to every time that the main character touched someone or something. Now, I'm fine with the author not regaling us with the memories of every object that the main character touches, but I feel like every time she barehanded touches another human, we should get a little flash of something. Just a little something. I think it's implied that Tarisai can control whether she's going to get a memory from something or not, but then sometimes she doesn't control it, and she just gets one, and I'm confused about that, and why that happens, and when it happens, and I would have really liked to have been rewarded for my attentiveness with her getting like a little snap of something. Like, there was a time when she needed an answer, and I was paying attention, like, okay, she needs the answer, that person knows it. Oh, she touched hands with that person, here comes the answer. Nothing. Nothing. No memory, nothing. And I was like, wait. So the magic is cool, but sometimes a little bit inconsistent to me. I think something that really, speaking of her magic, that brings up her curse to have to kill the prince once she gets close to him. She finds clever ways to prevent it. I especially liked one of the ways that she prevents it. I won't reveal it. But it also severely hindered the found family thing. And because sometimes she just had to physically remove herself from a situation and be away from her family because of her curse. And I was like, I would much rather have the found family than the curse thing. And it gave her a lot of reason to be very angsty. And I guess that kind of brings us around to my final problem with it, which was the main character's emotional journey, such as it was. Again, there was this problem for me where it seemed like the author was ready to go deeper and then she would back off before she really got there. And also the main character, she has a major issue about self-worth. Her self-worth is really bad. And so she spends a lot of time feeling like she's not worthy, that she doesn't deserve friends. I never really felt like she got over it, which I guess there's another book, so potentially there will be that. But it got really repetitive, where I just wanted to smack her. And her friends kept having to constantly reassure her, we love you, we're here for you, you're the best. And just having that happen like multiple times was a little bit much for me. Now, I understand that that is a really common teenage experience. I mean, who hasn't been there? I've been there, where you just feel like you're shit and nobody should love you and you're completely unworthy. Of course, we've all been there. But Do we want to read it over and over again? I don't. Now, perhaps this makes her a very relatable character to a lot of readers, but to me, I kind of got sick of it, and I was like, okay, I get it. You're very insecure.
You're insecure, don't know what for.
I wish that she would learn better how to tell her friends that she loved them as well, instead of it being a bit more one-sided. It felt rather one-sided, where everybody was kind of just there for her, and she was there for them in certain key instances, but the longer the book went on, the less and less that happened. Those are my thoughts on Raybearer. Definitely go read it and judge for yourself. It has so many 5-star reviews. It is so well loved. You shouldn't let me dissuade you if you were going to read it. But now you can go in maybe with a little bit more of a level idea of what it's going to be versus just the hype, 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 hype. There might be some things that might put you off of it a little bit, or maybe the things that I mentioned are things that don't bother you at all, or actually are a draw for you. So those are my thoughts. Have you read Raybearer? Comment below and let me know. Also let me know what your favorite kind of cookies are. Is it fresh from the oven chocolate chip cookies? Because it should be. Don't forget that I have a ton of videos here on this channel, so many book reviews already. If you want even more from me, you can follow me over on my Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you get extra content not seen here on the regular channel. All the links to my social media are down in the doobly-doo for ease of your clicking. If you'd like to read a book that I wrote, you can check out The Wolf and the Hawk. It's a fantasy romance. It's a romance with a plot, so if you like a little killing and a little kissing, that might be the book for you. And I will see all of you again next time with whatever it is I happen to be doing next time. Bye!
Oh my goodness, Nigel, have you heard about all of our new patrons? Patrons like Belle, Patrick, Anne Sophie, Callison, Ray, Artemis, Shelby, Zaire, Jesper, Irene, Scribbling Cat, Savvy, Jenny, Amanda, Lisa, Sarah, Very Bad Books, Anna W, Anna C, Light Julie, OS, Hidden Glade, and Persephone. Wow, Nigel, we have been getting so many new patrons lately. They are the very best, like no one ever was. You're not some little boy, why you acting so surprised? You're sick of all the rules, well I'm sick of all your lies. Now I've held back a wealth of shit and I think I'm gonna choke. I'm standing in the shadows with the words stuck in my throat.